Yeah, it's yesterday. Oh wait, no, I need to call. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are so excited that you are here with us live on Co-working Live with Red Worldwide. And with that said, we are entering a phase where our Fridays are going to be designated as Leadership Friday. We will be doing what we call Leadership in Focus and on Fridays. So it's our Focus Fridays, really. But this time, I should say this particular time of year will be the time that we talk about leadership in the third quarter. And then when we get to fourth quarter, we're going to go to another focus. But leadership is in focus right now because we believe that having effective leaders really does change what happens in our businesses. And so with that said, today we're going to really go down the path to ethical leadership. And I really want you to take the time to, jot down some notes today, because I know that we're going to talk about some things and you might not have heard it this way before, but we're going to talk about it because I think it needs to be said. If you don't have good leadership, then you probably won't have good fellowship. The people who are following the leader. And unfortunately, when we're in a situation where the leaders are not doing the things in the most appropriate way, in the most excellent way, then the followers are learning very bad habits. Okay. And then the people who are following them, won't know exactly how to do things either. So we are walking this path today because we really believe it's important for us to learn how to lead with integrity. And with that said, we have a wonderful little video that we want to share, to get us started. And once we watch the video, then we'll be back. And Jerome, when we come back, let's start with slide number 2, okay, instead of slide 1. With that said, let's go.
I used to work with a leader who lacked ethics. They would often make decisions that were not in the best interest of the team or the company. It led to a lack of trust and a negative work environment. Ethics is at the heart of great leadership. According to Forbes, ethical leaders are more likely to have loyal and engaged employees. They also tend to have better financial performance. Effective leaders also possess qualities such as communication, empathy, and accountability. These qualities help build trust and foster a positive work environment. Practices such as setting clear expectations, providing feedback, and recognizing achievements also contribute to effective leadership. These practices help create a culture of accountability and continuous improvement. Today, I work with a leader who embodies these qualities and practices. It's made a world of difference in our team dynamics and overall success. I can't stress enough the importance of ethical leadership.
Well, I like my little AI person, because she really does, embody some of the qualities, of the people that we work with every day. I love, creating those AI videos because they give us the opportunity to have some diversity in the images that we share. But I also like the concept of what she brought forth to help people understand what ethical leadership is all about. And so, Gerard, if you'll roll us starting at slide number 2, I'd appreciate it. So our introduction to ethical leadership, is the start of our Leadership in Focus Fridays, which is going to help us to delve into some crucial topics, for people who are what we consider modern leaders. A lot of what has happened in the past, and we're going to leave it in the past. A person, sometimes became the leader because of, or by default, okay, because there was not another person available to lead, or the business was passed down to them from their parents and they found themselves in the position of a leader. Or for that matter, maybe they got it honest. They were made the leader, they were chosen for the role, but there may not have been the skill set available. And so we need to make sure that we give some good information for those who are using us as a resource, to help people understand the foundation of successful organizations, and that it is, embodied in the ethical leadership, of that company. And so this important topic has to come to the forefront now, because we are seeing lots of entrepreneurial endeavors. There were more than 500,000 businesses started during the pandemic, and a lot of those businesses still exist today. And so we want to be a voice for having, better businesses, businesses that are, on track to do some amazing things in our communities. And by driving and fostering trust, driving success, it's really going to be, something that will change the culture of your organization. I am Dr. Patience Jackson Rose, and today I am the person in the position to bring this forward. So normally on our Leadership in Focus Fridays, we'll probably have guests, but I'm the guest today. I'm the host and the guest, okay? So I just want you to know that as you are watching on Fridays, this is kind of what we will be, moving in for the next the next 2 months, talking more about leadership and how leadership affects our teams, what it is that we can do to train leaders. If you want to bring your team on and watch and participate in our, be a part of our, in our Zoom room, where they can actually, be a part of the conversation and be a part of be a guest on the show per se. You can do that, because we really want to be able to have a more engaging platform for at least our Focus Fridays. I think it's going to be important. Next slide, please. So what is the impact of ethical leadership? What does it do for a company? Well, the organizational tone that it sets in a company is, unbelievable, because it sets the standard for the behavior, in a company. The people who are, ethical leaders, they have an actionable set of steps that they take that ripple through their entire company. It sets a tone when someone sees you doing the right thing, the right way, at the right time. It shapes the culture and the values of your company. And then it increases the ability for people to operate in a way in which they're having trust and respect. When leaders act with integrity, they earn trust. They earn trust from their vendors. They earn trust from their employees, their contractors. They earn trust of their customers. This fosters a respectful environment where employees and others feel valued and heard. And so when you're looking at the concept of operating as an ethical leader, you want to be thinking about the fact that you are always on the stage. You are never in a situation where people are not looking at you. And you want to make sure you always put your best foot forward and that you position yourself so that others are, confident in your leadership. And then the other thing is, ethical leadership drives employee satisfaction and engagement. This, which in turn boosts productivity and overall business performance. That is something that is, really it's proven. I have some documented research that proves that when ethics is a part of your company as one of your core drivers, then it causes other people to feel comfortable in that space. And so you want to be able to understand how important ethical leadership is, and how important ethics is in the company that you are developing. Next slide, please. So we have what we call the 4 V's of ethical leadership. And the first V is values. Define your core beliefs. I mean, what are the things that really are the guiding principles that shape your decisions and your actions? Not just that shape your company, but we want to drill down even further, that shape your directions, that shape your decisions, that shape your actions. Because when we can gain a perspective, that follows your perspective, then what happens is these values become a value system in your company. Then what is your vision? What goals are aligned with your values? Okay. And how can you reflect these, in your standards and aspirations, personally and also in your company? Your voice. How can you communicate your values and your vision clearly? I mean, in the messaging that you have in the company's procedure manuals and their administrative manuals, and in and on the messaging for your emails, and other information that gets sent out from your company and brochures. How do you communicate your beliefs and your values effectively, to make sure that people who are learning about your company from the information that they receive, they can, make a decision, or I should say, choose you over other companies that might be doing the same thing that you're doing because of the fact that they actually resonate with what you're doing. And then virtue. How do you live your values through your actions? How do you demonstrate your integrity in every decision that you make, or in the interactions that you have? How do you become what it is, or I should say, embody what it is that you stand for? Next slide, please. So here are some practical tips for ethical leadership. Number 1, treat people well. Let's just start there. Show respect and empathy for all. I mean, create an inclusive environment where every voice is valued. Everyone feels heard. Everyone feels like, they are worth something in your company. Number 2, be transparent. Share information openly, foster trust through clear, honest communication, and, about the decisions and the challenges that you are making and what you might be experiencing. Be fair, apply the rules consistently across your entire team. It really does hurt your company when the company is run in such a way that people can, sense that there are favorites or favored people, and they have the inability to be able to operate in an environment that feels that the opportunities are for all. You have to make things accessible to all of the team members, because when you do, what happens is people, begin to operate in the environment, with that same level of respect for each other. And then democratize decision making. You can delegate some of the decision making to others. People do well when they have delegated authority. So involve others in important choices. Seek diverse perspectives to make well-rounded ethical decisions. And when possible, give the ability to others that are, covering certain things, their supervisors and managers, give them the ability to make decisions that, are well-made decisions within the company. And then you want to address ethical issues properly. You don't want to leave something hanging on the table that happened on Thursday till next week, Thursday. You can't ignore problems. You got to be able to tackle ethical concerns quickly and decisively to maintain integrity. People know when you are operating, out of a pure heart. They can tell, and so you want to be genuine in how you handle things, and you want people to feel comforted in what it is that they are experiencing, when they're doing business in the company. Next slide, please. So how do we create an ethical culture? Well, the first thing is that we have to start by making your values explicit. You got to be clear in how you define and communicate the organization's values. It's got to be written down somewhere, because if it's not written, it's not real to most people. And so I'm just saying they need to be able to find it, whether it's in the handbook that they have on their phone or in some office pamphlet. You have to make sure that everyone understands the standards in the company, and that what the company expects, it expects. Period. Then the other thing is you got to be able to integrate those values into your hiring practices. You need to let people know up front when they come to interview with you what your company is about, so that you are able to recruit people that align with the ethical principles. You don't want people in your company that are going against the process of being ethical. And when people know up front this is what you expect, then it's not an accident or incident if you have to make corrections. Look for candidates who demonstrate integrity. I mean, it's something that you can see from their previous history in another company, or something that you can see that they've done when they were in school, operating with ethical values. Ask the right questions when you're in the hiring practice, so that you can get a solid answer about how people, see things and how they will operate in certain situations. Demonstrate ethical behavior in all of your actions. You don't want to be caught in the middle or in the crossfire of a situation when it really could have just been okay for you to do the right thing. Okay. So just live that life where you are leading by example, and having ethical behavior, even when it hurts, even when it's hard. Your conduct sets the tone for the entire organization. And it's important for you to use the ethical behaviors in front of everyone to make sure that you'll have a company that's operating in that same way. I have to tell you, I've had some of my own personal children who worked for me and with me in companies that I owned or companies that I worked for. They worked right alongside me on a project, that I might have been doing, or in front of others. They were right there working with me in ministry. And there have been times where I had to, bring correction because something that was done, in a way that was public had to be corrected. And so I had to be very careful how I handled my children in front of other people, but I had to be in a position where I didn't ignore it, because it was important for people to see that I was willing to do the right thing, even when it was my children that were involved. So I am sharing that because there are people on this, Zoom call, and people who are going to watch this later on YouTube, some people who might be watching it right now, who might have children working with them or other family members working with them. And I will say the most important thing that you can do when you have a family-owned business or a business that hires family is to be ethical in everything that you do in and around others, as well as when it's just you and your family members as well. Okay, next slide, please. So what is the ethical decision-making framework? Well, the first thing is you got to determine the issue. You got to be able to clearly identify the ethical dilemma at hand. Sometimes you might not have a handle on what happened, okay, or what the real issue is. And so you have to stop before trying to handle something. You got to stop and make sure that you're doing the investigations properly to get, all of the information up front, because you got to consider all the people who might be affected by the decision that you have to make. Then you got to gather the facts, right? It takes someone who is really, strong in their constitution to go through the process of collecting all the relevant information, because sometimes you may not like what you're finding. And sometimes the information, we call it kingdom intel over here in this camp, because in our faith tradition, we believe that God allows us absolute information, in a lot of situations that other people don't get. But in a company setting, you might get information that everybody else doesn't have. And it may not be to the best interest or in the best interest of the company for you to share all the information that you have. You got to really be able to understand, okay, what information do I disseminate and what do I keep? And then you got to seek diverse perspectives to ensure that there's a comprehensive understanding, because if you are just operating off of what you know, how you feel, the way you were raised, okay, all of that, sometimes you may not make the right decision, or the most ethical decision. Then you got to list all the options. I've had to write stuff down. And I'm just being real with you, to brainstorm all the possible solutions. Sometimes the most appropriate solution might not be the first one that comes in the forefront of my mind. So, I have had to sometimes take a minute to consider the short-term and long-term consequences of each option, because, making a fast decision may not be the best scenario, the best option, to choose in your business. And so you've got to make sure that you're looking at it from all angles. Then you got to examine and experiment. You have to be able to analyze the options through the ethical lens. Okay, test the potential solutions, and you want to probably test them with trusted advisors, people that are in your circle that are considered maybe your core counsel, if I can say it that way. Maybe it's the directors in the company. Maybe it's the chaplain in your business. You never know what you might need to be able to have the ability to handle a situation properly. And then lastly, you want to make the decision. A lot of people, they really fail in this area. It's like they'll just okay, well, so much time has gone on, it's okay, everybody's okay. No, sir, no, ma'am. You have to be able to make a decision and implement it, because choosing the most ethical course of action, that's one step. But until you follow through with conviction and monitor the outcomes, you will not be able to ensure that this thing does not blow up the company or happen again, and so it's really important, that you make the decision and you implement whatever it is that you all decided is going to be the course of action. I remember being involved in a situation in which the children of a particular business owner was, they were really, harmed greatly emotionally because of the fact that they felt like their parent just absolutely did not handle the situation the way that they all thought that it should be handled. And the reason why they all thought it should be handled that way is because the parent said, this is what I'm going to do. And when they got to the point of being able to handle the situation, they went off script, they got emotional and did something completely different. And everyone was really disappointed. And not only that, they were disappointed for a good reason, because it happened again. And they knew it was going to happen again because it wasn't handled effectively in the manner in which they had been discussed. And so you have counsel for a reason. You put people together in companies and you give people positions, and you want to amass the ability to, have a well-rounded view of the situation and really make sure that if there's an opportunity to course correct something that could come back to bite the company later, you are not positioning yourself so that you don't take that, opportunity and move in that direction. Next slide, please. So our conclusion today really is, one that helps you to understand that ethical leadership is a journey, okay? And so you've got to be able to understand these very key things. And the first thing is that you want whatever it is that you do to have a positive impact. Ethical leadership creates a thriving work environment. It drives employee satisfaction, engagement, loyalty, and overall business success. And so we want to be able to, become the ethical leader because it does really have a positive impact on our leadership, on our company. Okay. And then we want to have some continuous growth. Remember, ethical leadership is an ongoing journey. You don't wake up one day and become the most ethical leader, without any practice. You've got to be able to practice, continuously refining your approach and learning from your experiences. Maybe you don't make a right decision at some point, but you can use that decision as a lesson so that the next time you might do something different that is more impactful. And then alignment is key. Strive to align your values, your vision, and your voice and virtue in all of your actions. This consistency is the hallmark of true ethical leadership. Well, this has been Dr. Patience Jackson Rose with Co-working Live with Red Worldwide, and we are so excited that you stayed with us today as we talked about ethical leadership, and I hope that there was something in here for you. We tried to, do the best to give you the most the most appropriate and excellent information on this topic. We know that on Fridays, we're trying to focus in on what has happened from the previous days in the week, and we want to know what we can do to move forward with what we've learned in our journey. And so with that said, we hope that you will join us again next week, and we'll see you again next time.